Hey everyone, welcome to Bluegrass Race Hub. Today, man, we got a good one for you. Talk about Darlington and everything else. Jason, let's hit it. Hey, welcome to episode 7. My name is Bryce Hunter. I drive the number 9 Xfinity Chevrolet. And unfortunately, I'm eliminated from the playoffs, but that will come later on. I'm joined on the podcast with the usual crew, Alex and Jason Collins. So Alex, want to kick it off?
Yeah, man. Driver of the number 97 Tushy Bidet Silverado. And when you said your name, I thought you were going to say Bryce Harper and you became a famous baseball player. But you didn't say that. You said your real name, and I'm happy for that. And throw it over to the HMFIC. I know he loves it when I say it. Jason Collins.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Jason Collins, former driver of the number 3 Xfinity, former Xfinity Series champion. Yes, I said it again. And
my God.
I mean, he's earned it. I mean, he earned it. So
to episode 7 of the Bluegrass Race Hub. We're going to talk about some Darlington. We're going to talk about some Vegas trucks, all that tonight. So let's get into it. NASCAR first, right?
NASCAR first. Everyone told us to keep it short. We're taking your suggestions. We're going to keep it short. Who wants to kick this off?
Yeah, I can go. I mean,
or I'll kick it off. Hell, go.
Noah Gragson wins 4 in a row in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Hell of a job. He's matured a lot. He's definitely cup ready. I think this proved it.
Yeah, I think that. So 4 in a row. I think it's 6 on the season.
7.
Okay.
Wow,
Yeah, I thought I undersold him when I said it. I didn't see any vomit on his suit this week, so that was pretty normal.
That's a plus.
Yeah, or not normal for him, but normal for like regular people. So props to him. Going into the playoffs, I mean, if you're on a tear like that, you're the favorite, right?
Yeah. You're hot. You're hot.
I know he already clinched himself in, but I think even if he didn't win this race with his stage win, I believe I think he had a stage win. I could be wrong. Even with that, I think he would even lock himself into the next round on points, probably next race. So he's on a tear, man. He's the Xfinity Series championship favorite, and I don't think he's seeing a competition at this point.
And even more important and cooler than that, my man is dating a Victoria's Secret model.
Ooh, very nice.
She's also a racer, Tony Breidinger.
I think
they're dating,
right?
Wow,
if that's how you say her name.
That's her name, yeah.
Okay,
he's pulled a nice piece.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of weird old men on Facebook that are really upset that he's dating the driver that they sent for. So if you're an old man on Facebook mad about it, you suck.
Suck.
They say it about Chase and Haley Deegan. So
yeah, it's the cringiest stuff, but props to Noah. Keep shotgunning those bush apples. Keep pulling those Victoria's Secret models. Doing the damn thing. Throw up on yourself a little bit. I don't care.
Yeah, for real. At that point, who cares? That she's fine, boys.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Let's talk about the tire problem at Texas for just a second. Let's switch it up.
Let's not talk about that yet, because that's going to be in a different segment later.
Okay, gotcha.
How about I got one for you? How about the Mr. 7-time retiring from full-time racing? He announced this afternoon. It's an end of an era, boys.
Yeah, that was
kind of shocked.
Felt like out of nowhere, but at the same time, so this is a 7-time champion. I know in the pinnacle of NASCAR drivers, he's somewhere in there. I'm a person that has him higher than most people. I think he's undoubtedly a top 5 guy, maybe top 3. I don't have the whole list formulated in my head right now, but 7-time puts you. I mean, you're in rarefied air. I know people have heard me talk a little shit about Richard Petty racing plumbers and stuff in the past, but I don't. To be a 7-time champion, it's got to be tough to go to IndyCar and not be that guy anymore. Like he's just a field filler. Which, if it's fun, he's enjoying it, cool. But it's got to be tough. So it makes a little sense.
Yeah, I mean that he concludes all of my, I guess there's still Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch and Kyle and all them, but and Denny, but all the Hendrick guys I grew up with, watching, Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, hell, even a little bit of Terry Labonte, and that crew. It's kind of like, wow, I'm getting old. That all those guys are now retiring. I mean, Dale's in the booth, Gordon's the president of Hendrick. I mean, Jimmy, I don't know what Jimmy's going to do. He said he's going to do some bucket list events, so I'm hope that he does the Memorial Day double, and hope to see him
I
at the Garage
yeah,
56 entry at Le Mans this next year. So
I,
hopefully we'll still see him race, but it's the end of an era.
that's exactly what I was going to say. End of an era, and as a guy that roots for an older guy, I I picked him when I was a kid because for whatever, well, I know why. When I was a kid, everybody I knew loved Dale. So I picked Rusty Wallace because I'm an antagonistic asshole. And when Rusty left the car, it was Kurt that took his place, and that's who I've stuck with. And then as these guys filter out, it's like you said, it makes you feel old.
Makes you feel old. That's
Yeah.
right. That is right.
All right, so last NASCAR thing. Hopefully we're just about 5 minutes in. Tyler Reddick gets it done. I see you. Another at this he was a playoff driver. He is not now. Another non-active playoff driver in the chase. Gets another win, keeps the field like no easy entry into the next round as of
Mm.
right now.
Mm-mm.
Got to feel good for Childress to a certain extent. I know they're about to undergo a big change to still go out there and get a win with a kind of a lame duck driver. I mean, it's got to feel good as not necessarily one of the premier programs in NASCAR as the landscape currently sits.
They've really taken that crew, and even Austin was running up front there for a while
Yeah,
last night.
I,
So they're on the right path. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle in their equipment with his talents. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with I want to see Kyle and see what he can do in equipment, but I think this is more a slap in the face to Richard Childress to know, he know Reddick knows he's not going to be back in that 8 car next year, and
maybe,
this is
probably.
no, they've already announced that Bush
but
is
he's
taking over
Well,
the
he's
8
still going
next
to
year.
be there
it's still
though.
He's
going to
still going
be
to be there, yes.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah,
probably in the
in May.
33
You're right. You're right. You're
or
right.
what DBC said into the 78, um, but yeah, it just seems, Reddick just seems to get better and better. And ever since, we're what, a week, maybe two away off of when Childress announced Bush taking over his
Yep.
ride, then 2 weeks
Hmm.
later comes out with a win. If I'm Reddick, I don't even look at Childress right now. I'm focused on 2311. I'm focused on getting through next year. And
Hmm.
this win is to pat my stats, not anything toward Richard Childress, in my opinion.
Mm.
Yeah, and if I think they said so Kurt's gonna undergo like his last round of like concussion tests next week. And the way I interpreted what they said is that's gonna kind of decide whether or not his career's over. And if it is, what they said on the broadcast is it sounds like 2311 would buy out Reddick's contract and put him in I guess the 45 next year, I would
Yeah,
assume.
I mean that's
So,
possible. I mean, I could possibly see him regretting the move to 23. I think that with the way things are right now, I don't think that it's a slap in the face of Childress at all. I think that what he's doing is he's just showing what he's shown us all season. I mean, the dude has talent, he has skill. He ultimately made the decision to move. It's not like Childress is dumping him. So I
well,
don't feel like it's a slap.
I think it's more
well,
of what Childress was saying about him and saying, and stuff that happened after the original announcement to Reddick to 2311. It's that kind of stuff. And he's not in the competition meetings. He's not in any of those. So, I mean, he's still going out and getting the dubs more than Austin Dillon, who's the grandchild of
Yeah.
Childress. So
So
Yeah.
that's all. I
the
mean, I think Reddick's, and all you guys can agree, Reddick's a better driver than Dylan.
Yeah.
And you know,
everybody knows this.
Dylan has a plot armor of never getting fired because it's
It's no,
Grandpappy's daddy.
it's pop pop.
Yeah, Pop's money. So you know he's never getting dropped. So I
Yeah.
mean,
But can you
Reddick. I mean,
blame Childress for being upset that he wanted to leave and not stay there? I mean, Childress gave
Yep,
him a shot.
I do.
So I
And here's why.
well, if you wanted a long term deal and Childress wasn't willing to do anything, which that's the rumor, I can't
No,
blame Reddick for finding a deal.
that's it. So as I understand it, they had an option, a player I call it a player option. I watch a lot of
yeah.
thick and ball sports too. So when a contract is negotiated, we'll say in basketball, they could sign a guy to a 3-year deal, and the last year has a player option. So player option, in this case, driver option, would be him choosing to come back for one additional year. In this case, it was a team option.
Mm,
And instead of negotiating for a long term extension, they took his option and assumedly earlier on when they initially signed the contract, he hasn't had all the success. So it's for not a lot of money. And instead of negotiating as if this is the guy you want to build your program around. What they did was
Mhm.
activate that option,
mm,
and they're not going to pay him a lot of money next year. And for a guy like that, for RCR that hasn't been super successful in
right.
a really long time, he's got to think like, you know, I'm the only guy that's been worth a shit here. And if you're not
Mhm.
going to pay me, I'm going to go somewhere where someone cares.
Right.
And Denny himself said, like, I've raced against this guy. I know what this guy can do. I want him.
Yeah. I
And
mean, they
he went
saw
out and
his
got him.
talent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he went out and got him. So I don't blame Tyler at all. And I could see from the RCR side, like, hey, we had you on this option. This is what we agreed on. So it's one of those where nobody's really wrong. It just kind of depends on who you like.
So I have a quote here from Childress to Bob Pockris. Childress says, and I quote, "The biggest surprise was when he came to us less than 1 hour before the announcement. I don't think it showed any respect for his race team or everyone who got him where he is." So obviously, Childress, you know, felt a certain way about him making that decision to leave after being given all these opportunities. And if you, that's a big kind of like unprofessional thing to me. If you wait till an hour before you're going to announce it to let anybody know, that doesn't show very much respect or appreciation for the team that got you where you are, in my opinion.
But, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm guessing Tyler did not feel really respected up to that point
And that's a
based on
possibility
the,
too. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just
Yeah,
speculating,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
It's both sides. Everybody feels
it
disrespected to a certain
yep.
extent. It,
it just
two
seems
two
like
sides.
when the Childress announced they're gonna extend the team option to Reddick, that was when the respect level for Reddick just went out the window. I think that's why his final push to go find another team and you know, 2011 was like, hey, come home, and that's what he's doing. But it's it's just, I mean, I don't even know how to really explain this. It just seems, you know, both Childress and Reddick are on two different sides here, and you know, looking away from each other. So they're just trying to get through this year. We'll see what happens next year. We're hearing a bunch of rumors on what could happen,
Mm.
but I don't think, if anything, Tyler Reddick's can have a down year next year because, you know, especially if he's in an RCR equipment.
Oh,
Um,
he's gonna get the current Kyle Busch treatment in Joe
yeah,
Gibbs equipment.
Yeah.
yeah, he's either
All
gonna
right.
drive the 33 or he's gonna drive the 78.
Sounds like a plan. All right, moving on to Bluegrass.
All right, guys, we've heard your suggestions. We cut her short on NASCAR. It's time to talk about what we all care about, what it is we're doing here in Bluegrass. So we're recording this on Monday night. So we've got two truck races to get through. So we're gonna work it backwards. We're gonna start at the Cup race from last week and work our on back from there. So Jason, what you got?
So Frankie Barroso started out the night looking very dominant, led 89 laps, started on the pole, looked like he was going to be the car to beat. And then my boy Mikey Neal, one and only, comes through and pulls out the dub. Very good job by Mikey coming in and getting the win. Kind of stole it right out from under Frankie. Um,
And Gabriel, because
oh, and
Gabe,
Gabe. Gabe was looking like he was going to pull off the
g-
strategy. The fuel strategy was working. Good
yeah,
run. That was
and
smart shit, man. Smart shit.
from where I was sitting with Dave and Matt, that was our biggest concern was him pulling off that fuel strategy. Obviously, other stuff happened with those guys, but it looked like he had it figured out.
Yeah, he was looking good. I'm going to go ahead and mention a couple others. Huffman had a good run. Didn't lead any laps or anything, but he did have the fastest lap. Once again, finishing in the top five. So being very consistent. I believe that's how he's managed to maintain or gain and maintain the points lead. Well, Aaron Smith quitting doesn't help, but you know, let's just be real. Let's just keep it
Yeah.
real. I mean,
Yep.
Aaron Smith quitting doesn't help the fact that he has the points lead. But other than that, he's been very consistent and he's done a very good job all season. And then top five, bringing out the last position in the top five, Doug Newbigging, led 4 laps, was on the same fuel strategy as Gabe, maybe a little off, but similar fuel strategy. All those guys looking good. And as always, we appreciate everyone in the Cup Series for coming out and running with us every week.
Yep. And I will mention, because another person that we have not mentioned enough of their wins and whatnot, but I'm gonna put my own pronunciation on his name, Scott Fitzgerald, F. Scott Fitzgerald,
Yep.
writer of The Great Gatsby, perhaps. Um, he had a good run there, running sixth. I know there was a heated moment between him and one of the guys I spot. Well, actually, both of the guys at different points in the race, and I know we had a little shit talk back and forth, and we placed a wager based on what the league officials were going to say. And ultimately, the league decided to be very professional about it, so we didn't get a conclusion to that. But that was a big moment in the race. I think both those guys were in the top five at that point. I know Scott was able to collect it and not suffer big damage there, and got himself a good finish out of it. Unfortunately for my guy, uh, didn't have as successful as a run, and we talked about that. That's how it goes at times, but
Mm.
ultimately, it was a super fun race just to see these different strategies play out. It's maybe not, if you're not super into it as a viewer. If you don't know the different strategies that these guys are on, it can be hard to discern
Yes.
why guys are doing things at points. I run into that. My wife watches every race, and she's like, "Well, what are you running around in 17th for?" Is like, "Well, we were doing something there,"
Right,
and I know.
right. Trying a strategy.
Yep, and I know on the broadcast they're going to focus on the fast guys, so that's nobody's fault or anything. But if you're outside looking in, it can be hard to to discern that stuff at times. But
Right,
it
right.
it almost worked for Gabe. It would have been cool to see.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about Proctor Akama. He had a really good run at Darlington, and also a really
Mhm.
good. He finished top five at Darlington, and then another good run the week before, finishing P3 at New Hampshire.
Yes.
Did really well both those tracks after a tumultuous season at best. Let's just call it that.
Yep.
And some incidents earlier, some things off track happened with him and another driver. He's turned it around. He's made it a positive season. He's looking towards the future of Bluegrass, not the past. He's not looking behind him anymore. He's just wanting to carry on all these good vibes, and that's more power to you, brothers. All I gotta say, more power to you, Mo better.
Yeah. I personally, as someone that's racing against him early in the season, I'd see him as like that's an easy mark. That's an easy spot.
Right.
These last few races, it has not. He's putting in the time, whatever he's done differently recently
Mhm.
has made a different. I mean, huge difference. Whatever he's doing now, it's a different guy out there. I mean, he's so much faster than he was previously. He's running always in the top 10, top 5, whatever. I mean, it different guy. I can't look at him and say like this is a guy I'm just gonna drive around no matter what I'm doing. He's figured some stuff out. And I've got to give him stupendous props on taking what we probably thought would be a negative in the beginning and making it a positive, making
Yep.
him a better
Yep.
driver. That's
Much.
that's what it's all about.
Yep. 100%. And then we had Nate Maurer in our Xfinity series. You want to touch on that a little bit? Go ahead and cover
Uh,
that. Nate
uh,
finishes P1 at Darlington in the Xfinity series. It's first win of the season. Hats off to Nate, man. Really good job. He has been a strong driver ever since I've known him. I've known him. He's been in Bluegrass since season one. He started out in the Cup, then he went to trucks with me, and then he came to Xfinity with me last season. Now he's in Xfinity again. Super stout driver. Really, really good job. Coming in P1 last week at a really tough track. Darlington is not an easy track. Let's just confirm that real fast. How tough Darlington is. It is not easy.
personally, for me, I mean, regardless of road course or an oval, Darlington is the toughest track on the schedule. Period. I mean,
Yeah,
I,
it's
I'm not
tough.
a dirt specialist. I wouldn't call myself a road specialist, and you could probably speak to the same. It's just a tough track that if you lose concentration for a half a second,
Yep.
you're plowing the wall, and then you got to come down to pit road and get a minute of damage
Yeah.
fixed or whatever,
Yep.
so you can be competitive. It'll ruin you just as quickly as you quit concentrating. There's no time to look at what's going on over here or communicate things. If you're not focused on what's in front of you, you're you're gonna have a bad time.
You're done. I mean, the Darlington stripe, that's the worst, man. You just touch that wall one time, and especially on the sim, dude. You touch that wall one time, you're like a parachute's on the back of the truck or car, whatever you're in. And it may not be as bad in the next gen cars. I've not had much experience with them, but I can tell you in Xfinity and truck, when you hit the wall, even if it's just a little bit, it
Yep.
just parachute on the back of that sucker.
Yep, because it's always either your right front or your right rear. Obviously, it happened to me. I lost concentration for a second. I hit the wall. I didn't lose spots in the moment, and then I went into the stage, and I had 45 seconds to repair, and I was screwed. I went from having what I thought was a top 5, top 3 run to I think I finished 7th there, which I was happy with considering, but y- just losing focus there, it'll just cost you everything. There is just no forgiveness whatsoever.
None, dude. None. You're absolutely right. And so speaking of the Darlington still, let's keep it with Newbert winning last week. Gets his first win in the truck series. That was
Yes.
amazing job. I've got to say, not only did he go P1 in the trucks, he then steps up the next night and runs Xfinity because he has a charter there, so he can run there. So he comes in and runs the Xfinity race as well, and finishes P2 and almost wins that sucker. I mean, this guy, where's he come from? Like, he's
It's
had
got
string of bad luck all season. I've seen him get
yeah.
caught up in so many accidents, whether they're his fault or not. He's just had bad race after bad race, compounded and compounded. So now we're into the playoffs. This is where it really matters. The last 2 weeks, is he the hottest driver in Bluegrass? You tell me.
Currently, I can't see how he's not because I mean the other guy that's the competitor for this title is Keith Hackney, and he's had two suboptimal races in a row where Newbert's on the rise. He's got a win. He's got a P2. I mean, things are finally falling his way, and that's what happens when you grind away at this stuff. We're gonna have a lot of bad races. I know I said it with Twitty earlier.
Hmm.
Um, you're you're gonna lose a lot more than you win, but sooner or later, if you're a fast guy, if you're talented, the results will come. That sometimes things are out of your control, but with enough time, probability, if you're a good driver, the results will be there. And Adam's been the prime example. He's grinded away
100%.
and just looking great at the perfect time to look great.
Didn't give up, stuck it out. And, a lot of guys, here's what I see a lot on the sim. A lot of guys, they will they'll have one bad race or maybe two. Let's say two races. They'll have two bad races. They quit. They leave the league. Why? Okay. One or two bad races doesn't end your season.
Hell, I've had a ton this season.
I mean, think about it. One or two bad races doesn't end your season, unless, of course, it's the last race, or
Yeah,
playoff race.
yeah.
But let's be real. What happens is they develop over time. They learn like the racecraft. They learn who they're running against, who they can and can't run against, and just like so tonight, Newbert asked me to come down to his channel, and this just is a testament to how much differently he's seeing things. Because previously, I believe he would have been involved in that T.J. Hanley and Wes Wiggins initial incident because
Mhm.
Wes was running the outside of TJ. TJ was throwing a late block, comes up into Wes's nose. Newbert had the foresight to pay attention and see it and goes down to the bottom lane / almost to the apron
Yeah, and cruising.
and just going. I mean, half a truck, dude. I mean, when I look, he said, "How close was I to getting wiped out right there?" I was like, "Close. You were half a truck away from getting wiped out." And he's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, dude. You don't. I mean, it was so close. You don't even understand." So, and that just goes to show you what running in a league for a full season can do for you. He was new to the series. Um, come over from another series running with Robbie and stuff. And I would like to hear his thoughts on how this season has progressed. Like that would be somebody to talk to at a later
Might
date.
might be our next guest. Who could say?
We don't know.
But what we can say based on that, iron sharpens iron. You
Yeah.
race with good guys, you'll get better.
Yep.
And there are times when it can get frustrating. I know it happened last season in the Cup Series with guys getting aggravated about Nichols being there because he's a Coke driver and all that. And
Former, but yeah.
yeah, and I get it. Like you want to show up and feel like you have a chance. I've had it at times this season, and it pains me to admit it because I feel
Mm.
like I'm a pretty fast guy a lot of the times. But there are times when I showed up and it's
And you
like,
are.
yeah, and there have been times I show up and like I don't have shit for Keith. He's put in more time, he's put in more practice, and I'm racing for second tonight unless something bad happens to him.
Seat
But
time is always going to make you better, no matter
yep,
what. If you stay consistent and you run a series and you don't quit, you will get better. No, I mean,
yep,
I can't tell you. There's just like Twitty earlier. He was talking about how you know I'm an asshole at times. It's not that I want to be, and I'm not trying to be. It's because we adhere to the rules. We do what the rule book says, and hopefully everyone can see that by now. Because there's been several times where people who I consider a friend,
yeah.
Robbie Richards is an example. I consider Robbie a friend. I consider you a friend. I consider Dave a friend. All of y'all have been at the bad end of the rule book, so to
Oh,
speak.
100,
Twitty been
percent.
at the bad end of the rule book. He's been at the good end most recently, but he's been at the other end of the rule book. And Brian is one of my closest confidants in this league. I talk to him on a daily basis, but I've hammered that dude more than anybody,
Yeah, and
period. I can
look
tell you that.
and look at him now. He's about to go to the round of eight.
He's trying.
We,
He's close. I mean, he needs a good run next week. To be honest with
he,
you, Brian needs a good run. But I want
yeah,
to see that out of him, and I'm encouraging him to race harder and do better. But at the same time, maintain that level of clean driving that I know he can do, and I know he can. See, he's like me. He loses his cool like that.
yeah.
He'll lose it like that, and then he'll go and do something like
Well,
what he
that's
did earlier in the season
yeah,
and got himself in trouble.
yeah.
Um, and he's good for
Gotta,
that.
yep, gotta manage emotions. I know that's like even in the Cup Series, that's like people were talking about Denny because he was so hot. I think rightfully so. Personally, we'll get to that in a little bit. But when stuff like that happens, you gotta back out. You gotta refocus and like big picture, cussing at guys, coming over the radio, whatever, getting in post race fights, saying crazy stuff. It might make you feel better in the moment, but in the long run, it probably hurts you
Yep.
because you've made an enemy, and I think that's probably happened tonight. We'll get to that later, but there are times where, or just about every time, where being the cooler head is beneficial for your long term outlook on the season if you're going for a championship.
Yeah, I have to agree. Whenever cooler heads prevail, it's cliche as hell. I know it, but it's the truth. Um,
Yep.
every time that I try to handle a situation and talk to a driver while they're upset, or diffuse a situation when a driver's upset, it doesn't work out well for me. It ends up making me look like a bad guy. It makes the league look bad, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm been working on it for a long time, but I have been working on it, trying to make sure that I don't lose my cool as much, or I'll talk to a guy after we both had an opportunity to cool down, and that seems to be the best practice.
Yep.
So
And I'll say I'll commend you on your moderation tonight. We'll talk about the specific incident later, but I know there are times in the past where it's just like, shut up, leave the league, whatever. I don't care. We don't need that kind of shit here, which is not wrong,
mm,
but you took the calm voice approach,
yep,
and
learning
and
from
we'll,
from you.
yeah, and
Be honest.
we'll all live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and that's where we have to be at. We have to look at it as we are mad right now, but are we going to be mad about this tomorrow? I don't think so. Hackney might
yeah,
be, but I don't think he will be. I think he'll be calmed down
maybe.
enough by then. And I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I know Justin's already like, whatever, dude.
Yep.
Justin's just
So
cool,
we have
calm, collected
yep.
dude.
So we're talking about things that maybe people aren't familiar with
Yeah, they're
what
not privy to.
exactly is.
So
So
we'll get into that.
let
You want to go ahead
yeah.
now and get into it, or you want to
Well,
wait? Let's just wait.
let's we'll hit the race results, and then we'll
Yeah.
we'll touch on the subject. So being that we're doing this on Monday night, we got the truck race under our belt.
Yep.
Um, if you were there or if you watched, Bobby Hall emerges victorious.
Yep.
Survived late race caution, some late race shenanigans, if you want to call them that.
Yep.
Um, being a guy that raced in it, I thought that there would be fireworks a lot earlier. It seemed like a track that the racing that it provided was hard to pass, and I thought that guys would get impatient early. And to the credit of the guys in my series, I got to give them big props that it wasn't an issue.
No,
We just ran
it
the
was
first stage.
clean racing, man, all night.
Yep.
Just very, very clean racing. Just to what do we have? Two cautions
I
other
think.
than the stage. I want to say
Yeah.
it was two. Let me double
Yep.
check. I think I can double check,
But
but I
yeah,
believe it was two cautions.
that
Um,
was a part of
yeah,
my
two cautions is all we had. So
yeah,
eight
because that
eight
was a
different leaders, 18 lead changes, a lot of
yeah
hard ass racing. A lot of hard
that
ass racing.
it was a part of my strategy based on how things went in practice. I thought within the first 10 laps we're getting a caution. We're probably going to get one at the end of the first stage, and so I was riding around in the back just trying to stay away, and then I got aggressive
Well,
later in
that's
the
what
race.
Keith touched on. If you remember, whenever I
Yeah.
started
Uh huh.
talking, he said this is going to be like Daytona.
Yeah.
Thinking like,
It
and a
seemed like it.
Daytona official is what he's alluding to, not a Daytona from us, but a Daytona official.
Yep.
Super speedway racing, bumper to bumper, nuts to butts, just and everybody wrecking each other. But these guys were smart enough; they knew what they had to do, and they knew what was at stake. Um, and it was a good time. It was a good finish overall. So do
Yeah.
you want to touch on who we ended up getting cut from our first round? I know we haven't done that yet. We just
Oh man.
we touched on the second round race. So let's go ahead and cover who got cut in the trucks real quick last week. We had Ed Osborne, Twitty,
Yep.
Morris, Duranko, and Mascroft. They all ended up dropping. The reason we had 5 was because of the incident with Twitty earlier in the season. You'll hear about that as well in the Twitty interview. So those guys unfortunately didn't make it on to the next round. We did get 12 guys in: TJ Hanley, David Brackett, Brian Terry, Alex Healy, yourself, Robert Richards, Josh Clemens, Wes Wiggin, Adam Newbert, Daniel Worthington, Justin White, Bobby Hall Jr., and Keith Hagney will round out your remaining 12 drivers. In the Xfinity series, who did we drop over there? We dropped
It's Jeopardy time.
All right. In Xfinity, we also dropped Travis Twitty, Tony Iverson, Bryce Hunter, and Mo Abbott. Mo unfortunately didn't make the race, and I don't know what happened there, but he didn't make it. He's made 12 of our 15 races, or 16 races, I'm sorry, this season. Didn't make it to that one. No, 15 races. I was right the first time. Yeah. So he's made it to 12 of our 15 races and didn't make it to that one. So he got cut. And you've got Sean Kastritza, Darius Boyd, Justin Winters, Robert Richards, Michael Robinson, Nate Maurer, Brad Neer, James Silvers, Adam Lancaster, Radburn Shutters, love that name, Scott Fritz, and Brandon Robertson. Moving on to your second round, which is Tuesday night at 9 p.m. So post time of this recording, it should be up after we get this recording done tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll have this posted. And in the Cup Series, we ended up having to drop Brian Terry. Didn't make the cut. Mo Abbott didn't make the cut. Again, Mo missed out on that race as well. Ryan Campbell, Brandon Zimmerman, they ended up not making the cut for the next round. Bottom 3 didn't run last week for some unknown reason. So they ended up dropping to the bottom. So you've got Jason Bridges, Doug Newbigging, David Farmer, Frankie Barroso, Jonathan Cogswell, Scott Fritz, Matt Grenier, Brandon Holder, Gabe Ellison, Mikey Neal, Cedric Hunter, and Alex Huffman rounding out your top 12.
All right, guys, we have the very first driver feature on Bluegrass Race Hub. We've been talking about it for a long time. We finally got the pieces in motion. So for the first one, I think we're starting on a high note. Anybody that comes after this man is going to have a hard time being as entertaining. Because we got the man, we got the myth, we've got the legend. We got Travis Twitty, driver of the 29 Rise Motorsports Silverado. I know Dub Print is his other big sponsor. Also races in Cup Series as well. And is the owner, as far as I could tell, of the dopest rig in the league. Good to have you on, Travis.
Welcome, Travis.
Glad y'all have me tonight. It's an honor to be the first guy on. I wasn't expecting, but when I got the message, I was like, sure, and LOL, and he was like, sure you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. I'm honored to be here with you guys.
We got to do. We know you like to talk a little bit. We know you like to chop it up, and one of my favorite guys in the league. When I go race fixed, which is kind of rare these days, I know I end up in there with Travis a lot. We like to maybe work together a little bit on some of these unsuspecting guys, but always fun to race with him. Good, clean racer. He's always kind of hanging out. Maybe not the fastest guy every night, but he's always hanging out, doing what he needs to do strategy wise. Just a pleasure to race with, fun to talk to. Just good dude all around. So I'm done talking you up.
Man, I appreciate it. Like I said, I ain't the fastest guy, but like I said, I come here and I have fun, and it'd be nice where you don't have the fun that you expect, but you just gotta keep trucking along and take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, like you said, may not be the fastest, but damn, you have the best looking rig I've ever seen. So you have to tell me Where did you get that chassis? What's it made from?
Oh, well, when I first got in that race and I talked to one of my racers, I was refereeing basketball, and one of my old football coach was in the youth. He dirt track racing. I said, man, you got a chassis I can buy from you? He like, man, I got one I give you. And it come out of a late model, super late model dirt track car. And I got it. And then one of the other guys I coached, his son in football, and he said, well, I cut it in half. And after that point, I just took it and ran with it. It was naked without no sheet metal around it for, what's about a year and a half. And I finally took it and got it wrapped in sheet metal and just waiting to get it lettered and all that good mess.
Awesome, man.
But like I
Awesome.
say, I didn't expect it to be what it is today. Like I say, I would have never thought when I first started this that I'd be sitting in something like this.
What do you
But
think it cost you to build that thing?
whew,
Too
That-
much?
if you don't want to
no,
admit,
really,
if you don't
really,
want to admit it,
really, you'll be surprised when I got in. I probably got $300 in the whole thing
Wow, that's
Well,
awesome.
well,
because the
yeah,
guy,
you got all of it for free, yeah.
yeah, he gave me the rig,
Yeah.
and then the guy who I coached his son in football, he cut it in half, and then the guy who done the sheet metal charged me $200, and then he built me a box and wrapped it for another 150, so I couldn't go wrong with it.
all right.
That's
So
awesome.
I see one issue watching it right now, and I'm gonna personally fix this. I need you to send me your address because I see an Edelbrock sticker, and I think we need some Holly stickers.
Well, that was the guy who wrapped my cage for me. He's like, here, man, here go a bunch of stickers, and I just got a few from there, and I got some from Charlotte.
Hey, I'll send you the Holly sticker bomb pack. It's like 60 stickers. It's like every brand we have. You can do whatever you want with them. Send me your address so next time we do this, we can get a little Holly love on there too.
Hell
So
I
yeah.
appreciate
what
I
size
appreciate that.
monitors do you run?
Well, my center is a 43-inch flat, and my two sides are 30-inch curves.
Okay.
Man,
I was wondering how people would do that with a long windshield and two
And
side windows.
it worked out perfect because when I cut it in half, I wasn't thinking about the monitor size, and the 43 goes from outside to outside, so
Mm.
it's
I mean,
perfect with the to wrap it around like that.
and it looks like it matches up pretty good with the virtual bars in the car versus the real life bars that are actually there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was surprised when Jason first got me started with my triples and stuff. Like I say, it worked out perfect. I was like, dang, that's just perfect. I had to adjust a little bit, but other than that, man, it was just go with it.
So I've known you for almost like a year and a half, going on 2 years now. And I love having you in the league. Obviously, you do our trophies for us at the end of the season to our champions and stuff. Um, Previously, you've already done the season 2 Truck Series champion and the season 4 Cup Series champion and the season 1 Xfinity Series champion, which was me, by the way. But we'll talk about that
Oh
later.
my God! Every episode we got to hear about the former Xfinity champion. Oh my God!
Only since Bryce brought it up that one time. So nah, I'm just playing. But
No,
so I've known you for a while now. I think you're a hell of a guy. Appreciate everything you do for the league, man, and I hope that we'll have you around for many years to come. What can you tell us about Bluegrass? What's your favorite thing about running in the league?
man, just some of the people that I race with. Like I say, I bumped head with a few here and there, but at the end of the day, man, I enjoy everybody I race with. Like I say, we all gonna have the days where we down bump heads with somebody, and you get past it. And like I say, some of the racing, probably the best league I've been in. I've been in 3 leagues, and hands down, this is the best. Like I say, Jason,
Thank you.
he's an asshole sometime, and that's not just he don't single nobody out. And like I said,
It's
there's
spread
there's
that
times
spread that
there's
asshole
times when
love
I could have
around.
yeah, there's times when I could have been like, man, Jason, this is some bullshit, But
Yep,
at the end of the
you're
day,
right.
it all falls back on what it is, and we just gotta roll with it.
And that's Twitty was at the center of one of the, I won't say the biggest controversy, but maybe the biggest story we've had of the season thus far. Well, really the top
Up to
two.
now, at least.
Really the top two, because the OG stuff with Hackney, which has kind of gone by the wayside, and I know Travis doesn't want to get into that anymore. I think that's kind of water under the bridge. But the what I was initially thinking about was when he dialed up that rule book on us and found his way in the playoffs
Yep.
on, I don't want to say a technicality, but uh, a very correct and strict interpretation of the rule book.
100%. Yeah,
Um,
we had to
Go
honor
ahead.
that, obviously. From my perspective, it was something that I made a mistake on, and he called it, and 100% I honored that because that's the only fair thing to do. And luckily, we had precedent already set on this within the Cup Series last year, and David Farmer reminded me of that, so we were able to make sure that everything came to light, and he got to take his spot in the playoffs as he should have.
And like I say, that's what my goal was this year, just to make the playoffs. And like I said, I've fought hard, and I've had a couple bad races that possibly took me out of the playoff, just being without having to fight so hard. But getting in and was just big for me just on that alone. And then I get in and I have two bad races where I get taken out, and like I say, it's racing, but it gets old after a while. But like I say, after 2 or 3 days, you suck it up and go to work, come home and start do it all over again. So
yeah, man,
and it,
that's part of it. I know I've been there at times where you feel like you're better than the results that you're getting. I know I spotted for Bryce last week, and he was, I don't know, I thought he was a top three guy on the track and got wiped out because of something completely out of his control. And that's not just sim racing, what we do, real life racing. I mean, any form of motorsport, there are going to be days when something that happens out of your control and it fucks your whole day up. And it's one of the most aggravating things about the hobby that we all share, but it's also what makes it great when you either overcome that or you have a good day. And we've got some guys. I know we had an issue tonight that we'll talk about in a different segment, but that's part of racing. That's part of what makes it great, is that 99% of the, well, depending on how good you are. I mean, even if you're the best of the best, I mean, you're going to win what, 25% of your races or something. Like in racing, you do you do a hell of a lot more losing than you do winning, and it 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 can grind on you sometimes. It can get you frustrated and all
Wear
this,
you
but
down for sure.
yeah, but it makes, when you have those successes, it makes it that much sweeter. And that's even, uh, which I race with you in the truck series. I know we're not on the same team, but I take I find joy in when you have good runs, because I like you. I like talking to you, and you're a dude that's going to be there and grind it out. And when that kind of stuff pays off, it's good to see. And even if it comes at my expense, I'd be a hell of a lot happier if it comes at my expense for you than maybe some other guys.
and like I say, man, I sit here and like I say, every week I want to win, or like I say, I want to be a podium, and I get close, and it'll be my mistake where I get penalized on pit road, or I mess up a line and I give up a spot, and just like tonight, I had a fourth, and I gave up just a little too much line for Daniel to get up under me, and he got up under me and Justin and knocked me back to seventh. But like I say, it's just something you learn over time, and like I said, I've learned a lot just from guys in the league like Jason, yourself. Like I said, I can name that my teammates, man. They've taught me so much, man. It's just over the years, and like I say, the 2 seasons I've been in trucks, I can say I drastically improved from day one I stepped in here, and it's just an honor to have the help that I get from all you guys that does it for me. And like I say, you're gonna have one winner at the end of the race,
Right.
and like I say, I can have moral victory if I finish in the podium or top five, top 10. that's a victory in my book. You know, I know I'm not gonna go out here and win every week or every night, but damn, I'm gonna give you all I got.
That's what it's all about. I love that shit right there. I love it.
And I was talking with somebody, I believe it was Adam, or maybe I don't. I think
Alan
it was
Duranko,
Adam.
Alan
Lang.
Duranko from last week.
No, I was talking with Adam
Oh,
Lancaster the other day, and Adam mentioned we needed to find more guys that are committed like this, and I have to 100% agree. We have to find more guys like Twitty that are committed to running these series, regardless if they win every week or not. They shouldn't. It shouldn't be about the money. It should be about the racing, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, everything that we offer in this league. Um, a top 10 tonight, dude. Like, hats off to you. Hell of a job. I'm gonna say I'm glad that we're getting to interview you after a top 10 and not a top 15 or top 20. So I'm glad that you had a good night overall. And that's, that just brings us to one of the points that I want to talk about later, which is the commitment level. And I appreciate that. So, you guys got
oh
any
yeah.
final words for Travis before we wrap this up?
Man,
Bryce, you go first.
I
But like I say,
see.
go ahead, go ahead.
Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know you that well. We raced in 2 different series, and every time you came up to Xfinity League, the Xfinity side of things, nothing but respect and I mean you race everyone on that league clean. So I have a tons of respect for you, and hope to see you moving up more and racing some with the bigger fellas here in the Bluegrass series. But man, I see you double filing up for a restart there at Talladega. So good luck,
Yeah,
and remember, no fast repairs.
and no faster fair. But touching on what Jason said, man, being committed, man. Like I say, I love my team to death. Like I say, I got teammates. You know, things came up. I had two that had to leave me, but the ones that stepped up and joined the team this year, man, I couldn't be
Big.
happier than them guys, man. I can count on them every week if there's something ain't come up, and it ain't gonna be no love. Well, I got a headache or nothing like that. They're gonna race regardless. So
Yeah, and those guys make up around a third of what we had in drivers tonight. So, that's a big thank you to Travis and all those guys at High Side for coming out and racing with us. Alex, you got any final words?
Yeah, I'll I know I said this earlier, but just on the way out, I just want to say, Travis, I appreciate you being a part of this league. I enjoy every opportunity I get to talk with you. I know you, me, and Jason like to kind of chop it up on Facebook a little bit from time to time, talk shit about sports and whatnot, and giving some people some hard times about Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin and all that. It's fun stuff, but I I know we've never met in real life. I hope that we get to cross paths someday, maybe go to a race and meet up or something like that. But like guys like you that's what makes me care about this league. This is what makes me want to make this league better for everybody. I mean, this is what it's all about for me. Whether or not we're racing for championships or money or whatever, this is what it's all about. I've got 4 screens of dudes that I like and I can talk to all the time, and there aren't two. I don't know. This is the only league I've ever been in, but I know if I went to another one, it's probably going to be hard pressed to find a group of guys like this. So, to anybody that's listening, just be like Travis. Be like Travis.
hey, this
I did have one more question for Twitty. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Are we going to see anything coming up in the next couple rounds in the playoffs for a special someone, or you can let that settle?
I gotta check my
Woo!
I gotta check my list to see what my palm pilot look like. It's grown a
Oh,
little bit, so I might have a couple hitters in there
oh,
on the way up.
that's
But
Big Denny. That's Big Denny energy right there. I gotta check.
yeah, I gotta check my list. My list done grown in the last couple races, so
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna try to be. Like I said, I don't know how I feel. Just depending on. I thought about it last week. Just when I got missed the cut, I was like, man, if I got taken out that second, or if I got taken out at this race, I thought about it. It just brought memories back. But I don't know. It just. I tell you what, if my teammates in the top 4, it's gonna be rough on somebody. I put it to you like that.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. That's how it
Yep,
should be.
racing for that chip. You can't take anything lightly.
Like I
Right.
say, and it's actually I missed the cut, but my teammates in it, and it's all about Clemens and from the high side hustles. we all about pushing that 7 to the front.
Good deal.
Whatever
Good
we
deal.
got to do to get him to the front, we're gonna get him there.
All right. Once again, Twitty, I want to say thank you on behalf of Bluegrass for coming in and doing this interview for the
Appreciate
very
it.
first driver spotlight. Make sure you guys check him out next week on Truck Series, Xfinity Series, the number 29 Rise Dub Prince Chevrolet.
And,
Look, Ma, no hands.
and catch this man streaming. He's streaming all the time. He's trying to build his subscribers. Go check him out. High Side Hustlers Facebook page. I know they're trying to build their community. So go check them out.
Twitty, do you want to shout out your streaming platform so people can find
Actually,
you?
I'm on YouTube, but I gotta get my followers up. I'm down. I need 44 more followers to change my YouTube URL. So if I can get some followers to go out here and check out High Side Hustlers, it's YouTube, High Side Hustlers Motorsports,
High
or
side,
Twitty Racing,
high spelled H-I.
HI. Like I said, or you can type in Twitty Racing, it should pop up. And like I said, go hit that subscribe notification button. Hey, got some action out there. Texas was good to me, so you get to see a few good races and a few bad.
Hey, it looks like you got action going now, so we're gonna let you ride, homie.
Oh, I'm about to bump one of them, get them out of my way.
All right, Twitty, good luck, man. Appreciate you, brother.
My man, Jason, are you serious, my guy? Are you serious?
What are we
So
serious about?
So the first one I got here, we're gonna run through a couple NASCAR ones, but then we're gonna hit a bluegrass topic. But first one, off the top of my head, a lot of people may or may not have seen it. It didn't make it onto the broadcast, but I saw it on NASCAR subreddit. I saw it on Twitter. Ty Gibbs,
Mm-hmm.
who is a guy that I don't like, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna enjoy rooting against this kid for a long time.
Yep.
During the race, in which a lot of crazy stuff happened, somehow this flew under the radar. I want to say it was towards the end of the race. I don't know if it was the last pit stop or not, but a lot of cars come down pit road. Ty Dillon comes out of his box and I think he makes contact with Ty Gibbs first.
Right. Wait,
Not
Ty Gibbs makes contact with who?
Ty Dillon.
Ty Dillon. Okay.
I might have screwed that up. So
All right.
I think Ty Dillon came out of his box and he was either in Ty Gibbs's way or he actually touched Ty Gibbs.
Okay.
Regardless, there was something Ty Gibbs took offense to. Ty Gibbs on pit road, he's on the outside. He fucking bangs Ty Dillon, and bad enough on pit road, but almost puts Ty Dillon into I believe it was Brad Keselowski. It was either Brad Keselowski's crew or Chris Buescher's crew. They were
Really?
working on a car.
I didn't see
I
this.
mean, within 3 feet,
Wow.
almost ran over a dude's leg.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow, that kid, man.
it's easy for me. Like I said, I don't like the kid. I think he's an ass. I think he's got a lot to learn. He's obviously very talented. At the same time, recently he hasn't shown a lot in Cup. I think the 18 car is going to suck next year with him behind the wheel. But like shit like this, like if it was someone that was running up front, if this was Denny Hamlin, if this was a Chase Elliott or something, like this is all we'd be hearing about this week is how this guy almost ran a car
Mhm.
over a crew member of
Yeah.
another team. It's almost unbelievable.
Disgusting is what it is.
Yeah, I'd like to. I know we tried this last week and it seemed like it screwed up when I did it, but I'll try.
You'll have to. You want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it, and I'll pull your screen up for everyone here.
All right. Let me.
Let me know when you're
pull-
sharing the screen, and I'll put it up.
Yeah, it's real easy. It should be easy to find on Twitter because oh yeah, so the the original guy that posted it, I'm assuming it's someone filming their TV, and this is how I search for it on Twitter. You have to type in Ty Gibbs is a fuckhead. This is how
Oh.
you find this is how you find it. So super easy to find. Let's see. Let's share a screen here. Applications. Boom. All right. So I am live now.
Hold on. All right, we are recording your screen now. We are at the bottom
Uh,
of the screen, so that's good.
all right. So we see right here. This is Ty Dillon. Well, we
Which
can go
one is
back a
it?
little bit.
Which one is it?
All
Your
right.
your
So
pointer's not coming up here, so
okay.
I'll have to
So
point for people.
yep. Towards the back of pit road, you see a car coming out of his box.
Yes, mouse is on it.
Yep. So, and you see Ty Gibbs in the monster car.
Okay.
So he comes out and incidental contact there. Incidental. We'll
Oh
go
wait,
back.
Dylan comes out and hits the monster car. Okay.
Yes. So he
Okay.
comes out. He's just getting off pit lane. That's I feel
That wasn't that much. Yeah.
that's a totally normal thing that happens. It's
Getting off pit
unfortunate.
road. Yeah.
Sucks. So we see that happen.
Maybe don't ride right in the middle of the pit
And
lane.
then, but that right there,
Wow.
we got officials and the pit crew right there.
Wow.
Like
Guys,
that's like a tragedy.
I don't think people will fully grasp how bad that is. And that kid, for him to be
I
behind
mean,
a wheel,
I get that he's young. I know how I was when I was 18, 19 years old. I wasn't smart. I
I
was
get
an
it.
idiot.
I get it.
but but
But
man, if you're going to be out here in the top series of NASCAR, that is they're the whole reason for the suspension of crew chiefs and stuff when a tire goes flying when it comes off of a car is the safety of guys on pit road. That's a 4 race suspension for the guy that caused it, whether it's the tire changer or whatever, and the
mhm,
crew chief.
yeah.
I would say this is way more dangerous than a tire flying off on
About
pit
you
road and
just
maybe
about
hitting a guy.
it's like running through the halls, right? You're running through the halls and you just shove somebody, like you just football
Yeah,
tackle somebody into a locker. Well, just think you're running through the hallway and you just football tackle the dude into the principal. You're going to get in trouble if that hits
yeah,
that official. I mean, let's just say obviously it didn't happen, but what if it hits that official? Who gets in trouble? Ty Dillon or Ty Gibbs?
yeah. It's got to be Ty Gibbs. Like
It
I,
should be Ty Gibbs, but I'm saying because of who the fuck he is.
yeah, that's a different thing, which also links into another penalty. We might as well. Let's see. Is that's in red flag, green flag? I'm gonna.
Let's go ahead and I say do it, man, because
All right.
I know what you're
Let's.
talking about already. I saw this
Yep.
one.
So we're gonna jump back and forth through segments here. So we're gonna do red flag, green flag on this. By your reaction, I'm guessing we're probably gonna be on the same side for this.
Yeah.
So so everyone knows William Byron, Denny Hamlin, had a on-track incident. William Byron felt that Denny drove him into the wall. Um,
I saw it. I think it
De-
was questionable. I think Denny was off the gas trying to give him room.
he was flames were coming out of the pipes. He was off throttle. I mean, it was a bad position. He was tight, and
Yep.
that I get William Byron's frustration
Same.
with that happening. With that said, that is under green flag. That is a racing deal.
Yep.
Let's sort it out on the racetrack. So we get a few laps later, caution flies. Denny is in front of Byron, and then William Byron runs up behind him and not only hits him under caution, you can hear it on the in car. Anybody can find this if we need to. I'll pull that shit up too. But he's maybe 10 feet off of Denny and throttles up and nails this dude on the right rear, spins him under caution. So Denny falls back to I think 24th. William Byron loses no positions, which is absurd. I mean, you hear about it in a lot of other sports, like dirty refereeing, whether, what is there favoritism? that people accuse it in our league at times. I know it's been said,
Oh yeah, 100%.
and without a doubt, Hendrick is. I mean, that's the poster child of NASCAR. That's the most successful team there is right now. Period. I know they put big money in the sport, but you go wreck a guy under caution, you you got to pay the piper. That's in our league. That's not an EOL, which is what he should have got in that position. That's you're out of the fucking race. We
Yeah,
we had it happen 2 weeks ago with Gary Jaworski and Dan Worthington.
exactly.
You go hit a guy under caution. You're
Removed.
parked. You're
Yeah,
done. You're done.
could have been.
So
I'm saying red flag. That's my take on it, man. I mean, I would even say this is
100%.
a. I would even say this is, are you serious moment? Like, am I like
No.
that's why I think that together like that, those two just go hand in hand. It's the same shit. Are you
Yeah.
serious? Like, what are you thinking, Byron?
Yeah.
Like, come on, do better. You're a professional. All right. It's
Yeah.
one thing for a bunch of guys on iRacing that are semi-professional, because we are technically a professional because we race for money. So
Yep.
anytime you race for money, it's considered professional. I'll say we're semi-professional, right? Since we're
Mhm.
on a sim and all that, we're semi-professional sim racers. We're not in the top ranks of iRacing, the Coca-Cola series, but we have raced against guys that have been in the Coca-Cola series, and we've shown that it's possible to do. I mean, we don't win every time. The guys obviously had issues, but I mean, what are you going
Part
to
of
do?
it.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say semi-professional ranks. If it's one thing to do it here on the sim where there's nobody that can get hurt, it's totally different thing, right? Take your frustration out. It's a little different than when you go and you have a 3,000-pound race car that runs 180 mile an hour at most tracks, and you
And
send it as a weapon into the back of another guy's car, and then that
yeah.
guy just careens off into the grass and
Yeah. And ruins his race. I think he'll still advance in the playoffs, but like looking back at it, like I know earlier in the season Denny had his issues with Ross, and maybe that is or is not still a thing, but I feel like I feel like this is 100 times worse. Just for it to happen under caution,
I agree.
just and I know that it like I know if Huffy's listening, I know he's a big Hendrick guy. I know he's gonna be pissed. And
Mhm.
I saw him make a status about it, saying Denny got what he deserved and this and that.
No,
And
that's carrying it over the line.
if you take those Hendrick colored lenses off, any any two drivers in a vacuum, a guy getting wrecked under caution for something that happened under green. Um, I hope that NASCAR gives him a penalty at
They
some point
should.
this week.
They should.
That supposedly that stuff happens on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Today's Monday. So if they don't, what NASCAR is saying, if they do not penalize this guy later on in the season, I need a position. I'll dump the son of a bitch under caution, and that's his problem. And then
Yep.
there's precedent for it, and they can look at the film. They got the in car with the RPMs shooting up and everything.
I mean, Byron
It's
Byron came from iRacing. That's
yeah.
how he got his ride. He came from iRacing. So
L-
maybe he was having an iRacing moment where he was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just run this bitch right in the back. Nothing's gonna happen. Oh wait, we're in real life. This isn't the sim anymore. I don't
Yep.
know.
So short aside before we get on to the next part of this, when I was still pretty new to the service, I was running officials all the time. I was racing with Dave every night. I'd spot him a race, he'd spot me a race. I spot him a race. William Byron's in there, and there are a couple other Cup guys that it escapes me now, but I know William Byron is there. And the
Mhm.
reason I know he was there is because he fucking dumped Dave in the dirtiest way possible. I mean, just drove under him, drove him into the wall, and never said sorry, never said fuck you, never said nothing. Just on about his business. So
That seems to be a theme with like today's youth, that like generation of people. It's like Nobody wants to apologize for anything. Nobody
Yep.
wants to take
Responsibility,
responsibility for
ownership.
anything,
Yep.
ownership. Exactly. They don't
You
want to.
deal with it. You deal
Yeah,
with it.
they're just like, I mean, it's just. I could go off on a tangent, but I'm not going to.
Yep. Yep. We got more things to hit. So the next one, let's go back to Bluegrass on this one so we don't lose everybody. Let's hit the one that's fresh, the freshest in our memory right now. We ran a race tonight that I was in. Um, Towards the end of the race, I want to say 10, 15 to go, somewhere in there, maybe
7 to go.
7 to go. Okay.
7
I
to go.
was I was leaning on the big side. Um, we've got several contenders up front. We got Bobby Hall, we got Justin White, we got Keith Hackney, Adam Newbert lurking, CJ Mason lurking, having the run of his life, having one of the best runs of the season for him. Happy for that guy.
Yep.
So something that I'd seen happen in practice, something that I experienced personally earlier in the race. Um, Keith Hackney goes under the white in the tri-oval, under the white line, which everybody's been doing all night.
Yep.
Totally fine. But when you go there, you better have a path back to the racing surface.
Correct.
And there's only one person's responsibility and that is your own. No one is under any
Obligation.
ruling, yeah, to let you back on. So in this circumstance, Keith is below the white line or straddling it at this
Oh, he's
point.
100% below it. 100% below
Okay,
it. I
and
mean,
Justin is holding him down, and
yep.
we're we're
Justin's
we're
on the white. Justin is
yeah,
left sides are on the white. Keith
okay,
is half a truck or more under the white. Keith is like almost touching the grass. Keith
yep,
comes through as soon as we get around the like beginning of the tri-oval, right before the start finish. He dives down,
yep,
hits the apron, cuts underneath Justin White. Justin's holding his position, which he's allowed to do. That's completely fine. It's not pinch it. It's not do anything like that. He's just holding his position. Keith then washes up, hits Justin in the left rear quarter. They both go careening up onto the apron even further, up back onto the track for a second, then back down to the apron, and they're sliding sideways. Keith's really sideways, out of shape.
yeah,
Justin's kind of out of shape. Justin kind of gathers it back up. Keith hits him again, knocks him loose again, but then Justin powers on through it and hits the gas and he gets going. Keith slides up into what I felt like was traffic that may have ended up causing a caution. So I threw the yellow.
yep,
I did that not to save Keith, but to save the drivers behind Keith because of the way he was coming on the track at the time. I thought from in the moment, I was like, oh shit, like he's about to wreck the rest of these guys. So I threw the yellow. But going back to the Keith and Justin incident, I've got to say I'm red flag for Keith going below the yellow or below the white, whatever it was, going below the
yep,
line and hitting Justin when Justin's leading. I feel like if he completes that pass without making any contact, he is undisputed one of the best, cleanest guys I've ever seen by far.
yep.
Like if he makes that
100%.
move, I have more respect for him if he makes that move. I saw him do it a couple laps before that where he made contact and he lifted and Justin drove off. Well, this time he decided, I'm not lifting. If you don't
I'm
give me
going.
room, we're coming down to the checker flag here.
Yep.
You know, we're coming down and we're running out of laps. So if you don't give me room, I'm moving you. Basically, is how I felt like it was. And Keith was, you know, kind of demanding respect in the voice chat afterwards. When I'm gonna say I'm red flag for that as well because respect one is earned, not given. I mean, no offense, Keith. I love you. You're a good driver, man. I love having you in the series. And I mean no offense by this. So when I say I'm red flag against that, I'm red flag for just the combative attitude. I feel like, okay, you attract more flies with honey, right? So, and
Yes.
just like you said, I took the calmer approach, level headed, trying to get everybody to calm down instead of just being like, hey, shut the, you know, I was just even kill about it. Whereas he was very combative and he wanted to, you know, yell and cuss. And I get like, that's how I am too. I yell and cuss when I'm upset, and I don't particularly mean
Ja
anything by it.
Jason, we all know you do that. You don't have to tell us. We all
Right,
kn
but
we've all
but what I'm getting at is I'm sure Keith is probably the same way. Probably doesn't mean anything by it. It's probably just how he communicates. That's just
Yeah,
part of how he's I mean, that's one of my flaws is I curse like a sailor. So I get that he probably didn't mean anything by it, and Justin took offense to it. And whereas, I mean, if any man talks to me that way, I'm gonna go and tell you, I'm probably gonna go off on him. I mean, the
yeah.
way he was talking to Justin, I'm
He
red
earned it.
flag for that. He earned it.
Yeah. He
But
he earned the response.
let's hear your take on it. I've been talking for too long.
No, you're good. So going back, and there are a lot of angles here, just purely from what happened on the racetrack. I had a similar deal earlier in the race. It obviously didn't get to this. Um, Me and Brad Gebhart were racing pretty hard for several laps, and he took the Keith approach there, tried to run it down on the apron through the tri-oval, and once he was down there, what goes through my mind is you have left the racing surface. It's your job to get back on it. It's not my job to let you
Nope.
back.
Nope.
And it, I, Brad never said a word to me about it. I'm not going to put any words in his mouth. I bet in that moment he was probably pretty frustrated with me, and I would understand. But at the same time, if you leave the racing surface, it is no one's job to let you back onto it. That
Yep.
it is up to, if you leave it, you got to find your ass back onto it.
Just like I said,
And
during the race.
with
Yep.
yep, with Keith and Justin, Keith left the racing surface. It is a place where we are racing, but this is not the racing surface. This is outside of the track limits. Racing can happen there, but if you leave the racing surface, no one is obligated to let you back in. We
No.
If there are 10 cars lined up on the bottom, then either you can wait for us all to get by or you can wreck every single one of us. I mean, if you leave the track, that's just like if you run into the grass, no one has to let you back on.
No.
You got to sit there and wait if you want to be clean. And I get that we're racing for a win, but when you pull it back and look back at the grand scheme of things, Keith is sitting pretty. He's got what 5 or 6 wins on the season.
Yep.
He's gonna be in the next round. I mean, he could
Yep.
go and he could just not race next week. He's gonna make it.
Yeah.
But he forced the issue here, and in the process, he didn't he gained nothing. Even if it had worked out, he gained nothing. He's still in the same spot. But what he did, by the way he reacted afterwards, is he has made a true enemy on the
Yeah.
racetrack. Uh,
Unfortunately.
I mean, and that's a part of racing. I've had my fair share of enemies on the racetrack. I've spoken on it before. They're not with us anymore. But if you're racing for a championship, my man, you don't want to go out there and
Big picture.
just make enemies out of something that you didn't have a ton to gain out of. And I know, and Keith has said it to us before, he's made a ton of money running these leagues and running money races and stuff, I assume. And it I'm not saying it's something that he depends on, but it's probably something he's gotten used to rake in a few $100 every week.
Yeah. I
and
mean,
and he's not going to get that from this race, because
and
of
I get that. I get that he was the dominant guy again. He led 62 laps and he was out there,
so what.
you know,
So what?
putting on a show. But at the end of the
Yep.
day,
So what?
it just wasn't his night. I mean,
Yeah.
and it sucks. He doesn't get the money. I get it. He doesn't have to spend the money. That's why he runs to win because he doesn't want to spend the money. I
Yep.
get that.
And totally fine. And I don't have any issue with that approach to things. But in a league like this, where you got guys like Justin, guys like me, a Dan Worthington, Bobby Hall, Wes Wiggin, whatever, guys that we're here for a championship. I can't I can't put words in anybody else's mouth, but like I personally, and I'm going to be screwed out of it more than likely next week because I'm not going to be there. But like, I'm here more for the championship, just to say I did it. This is an accomplishment, just to feel proud. And when you have that every race, I got to make this money kind of deal, that's how you get as aggravated. And I hate to say upset because that's a word that might trigger somebody, but he was upset after the race.
Yeah, but that also kind of alludes into what I was saying earlier when all of us were in the same channel. It is amazing how much passion and energy and just the drive that these guys have want to succeed in this league. It's unbelievable. Like there's so much passion that goes into this. And it's awesome to have created something that people put so much and they invest so much of their own emotions into, because emotions were high, man. And we heard
Big
it.
time.
Emotions were
Big
high,
time.
man. And there was things being said and just like, I'm just like over here like, whoa, 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 whoa. Before we get any further, if we take this any further, we need to chill and just think about what we're doing right now. And I get Keith is, doing this, I don't want to say for a living, but he does this to win. Obviously, he does it to win. He
Yeah.
wants, he
We all
runs these
do,
leagues to win. Yeah, which I know everyone does. I'm just
but
saying
it's different. Yeah.
his is like, am I going to eat tomorrow? I don't know if it's like that or not. I don't want to say that, but that's the energy he brings. Like
Yeah.
he wants to win at all costs.
Yeah. And
It may not have anything to do with him eating, but I'm just saying that's the energy, like that's the level that I felt like he was that upset. Like, man, you just took something the fuck away from me,
yeah.
and I'm pissed
Now
about
I'm
it.
yeah, now I'm gonna make it your problem, or I'm gonna put
And
on a show next week, whatever.
and you know, more power to him if he does. If he comes out and he absolutely just rips a new ass next week, uh,
More power to him.
more power. I mean, I kind of want to. I don't know if I should quote him on what he said. I mean, what do
I
you
think
think?
oh go.
So
Say it, my man.
he
Say it,
said
my man.
he sent me a message earlier, and he said he was going to lap the field next week. Um, he guaranteed it. So I mean, if he's embracing the villain role, from what I can say, I mean, from what I can see, he's embracing it. I mean, I love it, but I also want to caution him on the side of, hey man, we want you to keep running with us. So
Yeah.
I know he
I
plans on moving up, but at the same time, I don't want him to burn bridges. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe
yeah.
caution him on
There
that a little bit. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know what I'm saying. Just take it away.
There there's a middle ground, just like last week, for instance. Myself and Scott Fritz, we talked a bunch of shit to each other. Not I was just a spotter and I was taking up for my guy, whatever. I don't think less of Scott. I still like Scott. I'll still talk to him like a regular person.
Right.
I don't know him like a lot of other guys in the league, and I think he feels that same way about me. We've chatted back and forth since it's part of racing. Like you got to take some pride in it, but the conversation that happened after the race wasn't exactly that. I hope that it
Wasn't
can.
kosher.
Yeah, I hope it can be that going forward after these guys sleep on it and that. But
I just want to say do better. That's what I'm leaving. I'm just gonna say do better. Um, you can embrace the villain all you want, but just watch how you talk to people, man, because that's gonna come back on me. Like this, kind of what I was saying earlier. I have to kind of say, "Oh, whoa, whoa, this is not the place for that." If that's how
yeah,
you're gonna act, then here's the door. And I don't want to say that to Keith because I like Keith. I think he's a
yeah,
good dude deep down.
he's he's started embracing the league. He's
Yeah,
talking to guys.
he's hella
He's
involved now, and I love it.
he's been
It's not
he's
like
been
it.
cut.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, he doesn't act like he's here to collect a paycheck. That
Yeah,
he doesn't
he-
act like that until tonight. He hadn't act like that
yeah,
in a long time.
yeah,
And I don't want to say I kind of like. I hate to say this about the guy, but kind of last season, man, everyone just kind of felt like Nichols was there to collect a paycheck every week, just there to win money. And
yeah,
I don't want Keith to end up being that guy because people don't want that guy around.
yeah. And
That's what
I
I'm
get
getting
it.
at.
I don't necessarily want that guy around, but at the same time, I can't knock him. It's like, hey, I'm gonna show up to this league. I'm gonna whip everybody's ass, and I'm gonna bring me home a
No, that
$1,000, $1,500, whatever.
That's
Good on
different,
you.
but then what I'm saying with Nichols was he was toying. People felt like he was
Right.
toying with them, so he was like he didn't have any interaction with the guys. Like he was never around to say
Yes.
he didn't come in and hang out and chat like Keith is doing. Keith, which Keith didn't do that at first because it's a new league. I'm sure he was kind of trying to fill everybody
Yeah.
out, and like I said, I told him, I started telling him, hey man, come talk to us, come hang out and chat with us,
Yeah.
man. And then he started doing that, and you can see it's opened the door, and it's been a good little segue to kind of get to know Keith as a better person. And I think he's a good dude, I really do. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think he had a
I
moment tonight. So
Yeah, and I was one of the guys early on. He's like, man, this guy's not making any friends. He's racing guys hard. He's gonna have a tough time. And eventually, like you said, he was hanging out in the chats after race, just doing his thing. Like before the race tonight, like in practice, I was out there doing shit, and I spun my truck around, and I was getting backed up to speed, and like he blasted me at like 185 miles an hour, and we had a good laugh about it.
yeah,
So
I mean,
I don't want it to be like we're just ragging on him.
no, that's
But
not what I'm saying at all. I'm just trying to caution him a little bit if
yeah,
he's listening, which I think he does because he is invested in this league and he likes this
uh,
league.
no, because he uses sound clips from the podcast in his videos. Yeah, we
That's a
both
good
made one of his
giveaway.
videos. Yeah, but
All right.
so that's enough of that.
Yep.
That I know we're bouncing back and forth between the Red Green
We
show and the Are
basically
You
covered
Serious?
everything red flag, green flag. So let's go on to the rest of this. Are you serious?
Yeah, I think uh, we got a couple here. We don't have to spend but more than a minute on this. But
Yeah, let's do this one
the
quickly.
the Goodyear
Tire
what
situation.
tire
Go
situation for
ahead,
Cup?
read what Childers kind of sum up what Childers said about the shock limiters.
Yeah,
And I don't know if this is fact. This is his
yeah,
opinion. I don't
yeah.
know. This is actually what the problem was, but he believes it was air pressure. They're running the air pressures lower to
Hmm.
compensate for the shock limiters so that they can get the diffuser and the spoiler lower at that angle that they want them at, and that basically sums it up. It's are you serious, Goodyear? Are you serious, NASCAR? Whoever the heck it is, like, come on, do better.
Yeah, I would say if I'm just going off of what Rodney Childers said, this is more on NASCAR than it is Goodyear. I know
Yeah,
we were watching. I know everyone's watching the race, and these guys are having flats every 35 laps.
yep.
And you're like, well, obviously it's the tires, right? So the way Rodney Childers explained it is that with NASCAR's rules on the shock limits, they cannot get the car low enough in the rear for the diffuser to totally do what it is supposed to do. So since they cannot do that with the suspension, what they've done is
Lowered
run
air pressure.
lower tire pressure in the rear to adjust ride height with tire pressure, which is, as a guy that's raced, that's an absurd way to get around the rules. I get why they're doing it, but if you're a team that's running and you're adjusting your car's ride height on tire pressure, that it's not going to work out for you when
No,
you're running 185 miles an hour around a
here's
mile and a half. It's just that's what you get. You get guys knocking the wall down every 40 laps because you got 18 pounds of air pressure in the left rear or whatever. Like
probably
it's just not
less.
going to work. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. So let me just sum it up for here's what I'm gonna go ahead and read what he said. Screw it. My view still comes down to the rules and the box we were in. And the track at Texas compounds it all. The problem wasn't necessarily the tires. Yes, they could be better. They could always be better. But the reason there are tire issues is the shock limiter rule. The teams wouldn't be running the tires lower if you could get the car lower in the back and the diffuser to its optimal downforce point. If you could run the car lower with the suspension, you would actually run more air in the tires to keep travel more consistent. Now, that goes to what we were saying about keeping the car low and the diffuser and all that.
Yep.
And he goes on and there's like two more things. If you want to read it, you can go to his Twitter page um, at Rodney Childers 4 at Rodney Childers 4 if you want to read that. It says my 2 cents. So again, just touching on that a little bit. If it is, I think it's a NASCAR issue. I don't think it's a tire issue.
Yep.
I mean, but at the same
Yep.
time, It's really on
Good.
the. It seems like it's really on the crew chiefs. The crew chiefs are the one making
Yeah,
the freaking decision to put that
yeah,
low air pressure in the car. So they're saying that they would rather, and this is what a lot of Twitter people have fired off, and they're saying that the crew chiefs are putting winning above the drivers' lives, basically. So
yeah. I mean, we've seen it. Like, I know we traded messages like during the race. It was we suspected that Cody Ware had a broken leg. He ended up not having a broken leg.
that's a hard
I,
hit,
yeah. I mean, he rocked the wall hard. But
dude.
that's two stupendous hits this season that have gotten attention between him and Kurt. And I know there's been other guys that have knocked the wall down pretty hard. I know Bubba's talked about it. Denny's talked about it. Um, I don't know. It's and when they're the the wild part is like they're doing this to find speed and the cars are fast when they do that, but then you got tires going. You're not going to win a race with tires going down.
No,
So
you're not.
it
So
it's tough.
it's Cody Ware's wreck. Let's touch on that for just a
Yeah,
minute. Let's do a minute. And so Cody Ware's wreck was a really hard hit, especially from that angle
man.
that they showed it from, where it shows the
Yes.
actual speed. It's not an overhead with the helicopter or blimp. That hit, man, when I saw it played back from that like front row camera going towards turn 4,
Yep.
that shit was scary, dude. That was
It,
really reminiscent of the 3 car
yep.
at
He
Daytona.
he hit the wall a ton, and the front wheels were off the ground, so he had no steering. Coming down pit road, if he would have hit that corner head on instead of
Even
glancing it, I don't even want to think about what that could have
the
resulted in.
the initial impact into the outer wall was hard, but yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't imagine what it would have looked like if he would have hit the corner of that pit road wall.
yeah. With they're older wrecks where they're at Bristol. I want to say Mike Harmon off the top of my head, but it may or may not be. But there
No,
was
you're
a
right.
gap.
You're right. The
Yep,
car
there was
got destroyed.
yep.
Yep. Yep.
There was a gap in the outside wall. He hit a corner of the wall, ripped the car in half.
Yep.
I mean,
Luckily, he
it
didn't die, but he walked
yeah.
away from it. But I don't know how.
And before we move on, the Harmonator is back for Talladega. Big boy, Captain Applebee's is back. They posted Mike Harmon Racing posted a picture of him on Twitter. He looks like he weighs about 7,000 pounds.
Does
And
he? I gotta
he's
check this out.
oh my God. If you go to Mike Harmon Racing, he looks like an absolute unit. He looks like a black bear in a fucking driving
Oh
suit.
my word!
I posted it in the Discord. If you go, it's like in the at the very bottom, like the random stuff or whatever. Yeah, look at that big boy. He's ready to take down an all-you-can-eat wing buffet.
Wow. All I can
Yeah,
say is wow. He's a big boy.
they have
He's probably what, 350, 400?
got.
350.
I,
He's over
yeah,
3. He's close to
yeah.
3 or
I
400.
yeah. I don't know how tall he is, but I know
I don't either, but
they're not gonna have to put any lead on the left side of the car. I can tell you that much.
whew. All right.
So,
Moving on.
moving on. All right. So we got Byron and Denny. So this is one I just had right after the race because it's fun to put you on the spot sometimes.
Yep.
And you addressed it earlier. When you threw the caution for Keith, um, which I didn't go back and look at the replay, but in my rear view,
I don't let's clear it wasn't for Keith.
well,
Let me say that. For Keith
yeah,
and Justin's incident. Because I don't
yeah,
want anyone to think that I threw it just for Keith, because that ain't
yeah.
that ain't the case.
I worded that poorly, but for Keith's incident, I
Right.
saw him coming across the track in my rear view. The incident happened in front of me, and at first I was gonna Tom Cruise it, and I was gonna blow through, and then I got worried. I checked up. I got past those guys, and I was getting back up the pace, and I saw him from where I was sitting. It looked like he had rejoined the racing surface. Looked like he was generally going in the right direction. I was like,
He
"Oh
he
shit!"
did.
Yeah.
I threw it when he was on the apron.
Okay.
He got so like from the time it takes me to click it for the server to register is probably like a second or so. So
Yeah.
I saw him sliding. It may be even longer than that. I don't know. I saw him sliding, and I just was like, "Oh shit, he's about to take out 4 or 5 other guys." And you saw the 99 hit the. Well, no, maybe you didn't. You didn't see the replay. Well, the
Nah,
99 actually hit the wall trying to avoid him because he didn't know how far up he was coming either. And there was like 5 other trucks coming at about
coming to
100,
him.
180 mile an hour, and he was in the middle of the track running maybe 70.
Gotcha.
So I was like, yeah, we gotta get the yellow out. iRacing's not gonna do it. I gotta get the yellow out because that in my mind would have definitely 100% been a wreck in real life. I
Yep.
know I don't always intervene, and I try to stay out of that just for that, for that
I
reason that I don't want
yeah,
anyone saying, "Well, you threw a caution for him." No,
yeah.
I wasn't trying to save Keith. I sent him to the rear. I made, everybody
You
knows
did.
he went
You
to the
did.
rear. The caution was on him. It was 100% because I was concerned that he was going to take out the other trucks coming up behind him. So,
Yep. Because initially, where I was several hundred feet down the straightaway. I looked in the rear view, and I saw him back on track. And I was like, this is the race right here. We got to go." And in that moment, I was feeling pretty good about it. I was like, I think I can track these guys down. And then the caution came out. In that moment, I was like, Jason, you son of a bitch. And I was like, oh God, here we go. Here comes the controversy. And then you sent Keith to the rear, and Dave will vouch for me because I did cuss you a little bit.
Mm.
And then when he sent him to the back, I said, Dave, I take back everything I just said about Jason. But just in my rear view, because I saw him enter the racing surface again, and I couldn't necessarily see the guys that were coming up behind him. At first, I was like, I'm not
See,
sure.
for me, I threw it when he was still sliding up onto the track.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know if on my end I was like a second off or two behind the
I
replay.
mean, it was just
I don't know, like because
it's
obviously
just
I'm watching from
specs.
the replay. So
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like when I saw him ass first coming back on the racetrack, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Luckily, he had the wheel cranked all the way over, so
And
when he hit the banking, it kind of caught the truck
yep.
and didn't
Yeah.
continue to spin around. So he had the wheel cranked, whatever far as it can go to the right.
Yeah.
And
'Cause all those guys are just specs in my rear view, so I didn't have a bead on where they were oriented and everything. So
and
I'll
it
give you a pass on this one.
and it's safe to say that he probably would have that we probably could have continued racing just fine at that moment.
Better
Um,
safe than sorry.
but I've learned, like I've seen it. So yeah, I'd rather be safe than sorry. And review what happened than take the chance on the guys behind him, mainly Twitty and some other ones. I know Twitty was right there behind him and a couple other guys. That closing rate, man, is,
Yeah.
you know,
Tough to deal with.
it's some guys it's tough to determine how fast is that guy going up there in the middle of turn 3 or turn 1 and
Yeah.
2. Keith was he was almost out of turn 2. I feel like when he got the truck straightened out, I feel like he was almost out of turn 2. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wasn't at. I don't know. It was somewhere in that area. He was close to being out of turn 2, and just to err on the side of caution. I wanted to throw the yellow, so I'll try to refrain from that. But I let Iris. I was like, surely God, Iris is going to throw a yellow here because they were off the
On it.
racing surface for a minute, but they was back on it real quick.
Yep. And I can vouch for that where I've done race control for a couple races recently, and I don't know if it's the tracks that we've been at, but it seems the iRacing application of yellows recently has it's left a little bit to be desired.
Yep. I mean, because think about it in real life. I know I got this. I caught a lot of flack about this, which is why I'm so hesitant on yellows now. I caught a lot of flack on this, like season 2, throwing a yellow for cars that were wrecking. There was a car freaking sideways on the track, okay, and they were wrecking down the backstretch. Well, they got it rolling. They clearly wrecked, but they got it rolling, and everybody kept going. There was no. They felt like there was no reason for a caution. I
Yeah.
mean, the dude can't be like this
Yeah.
and keep it rolling. Luckily, they did. I mean, just because they're really talented drivers. But
And just to
people
get
said,
out of the way.
let's just not let's do away with that. Let's let iRacing control the cautions from now on because it's just not working out. You know,
Yep. I think that's a fair way to do it. And in times like tonight, you got to step in. But with all that said, I think we have concluded the red greens and the Are You Seriouses and the this and the that.
Yep.
Time to get to the picks. I don't know how we did last week. I don't even remember who I picked. But
did we even pick
well,
last week? I think we
yeah,
missed it, didn't we? No, you
no,
did. You did pick. Let's see. I picked Bobby Hall Jr. You picked. Who did you pick last week?
I,
I
I,
picked Alex Huffman and Cup. I was off by one. I know that in Xfinity.
yeah,
You
it's,
who did you pick in Xfinity? I don't think
mm,
any of us won. I didn't win. I know I
yeah,
didn't win. Do you
yeah.
think
Well,
you won any of them?
I don't, I want to know because I didn't pick Michael Robinson. Gosh, I can't.
You did pick
What
Michael Robinson. You did
did
pick
I?
Michael Robinson last
Okay.
week, but Adam Newbert won.
Yep, yep. We'll have to go back and check the tape. We won't spend all night trying to
Yeah,
remember
it's
shit
not that
because we're
important.
stupid.
We've got 2 races left this week, Xfinity and Cup. Xfinity at Vegas as well, Cup at Vegas. What are you thinking on the Xfinity side?
All right, Xfinity. Let me pull my list up. Man, I keep wanting to pick Michael because I think he's due, but I think he's let me down 3 times now, and I keep feeling like he's gonna do it. And so this will probably be the race that he does it. He's gonna screw me over again, but I'm gonna do a solid here because this guy he said I wasn't posting pictures of him on Facebook, even though I went and found that I did because I felt bad about it first. So it's Scott V. Fitzgerald time to get it done in the Xfinity Series. He's got 2 wins on the season. He has, it looks like, the second best average finish in the series of a seventh. I think, yeah, Michael Robinson has an average finish of 6th, which is why I keep leaning to that guy. But I'm gonna go with Scott, so he can't talk shit about me anymore. I'm posting pictures, and if he wins, I'll make sure and make what I've just said a part of the caption.
Sounds like a plan. Um, if so, Smart Money says Radburn shutters. That's
Yeah,
what Smart Money says.
is it?
Um,
Is it? Because Brandon Robertson's first place with 3 wins.
yeah, I mean, it's the track is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking though. I know
I
where
got
Brandon
you.
excels, and I feel like I've learned where Radburn excels. Um, oh, your boy Michael did place P3 last week,
Yeah, I know he was there. There was a while where I was like,
and
I'm gonna get the shit right because I was spotting for Bryce,
yeah.
and deep down inside, I was like, I'm gonna get it.
So, oh, this is a tough one, man, because I want to say based on look at something real quick, and then I'll give you a pick.
Going deep into the advanced stats here. I will say, Scott, if you do win, you've heard how I've said your name all night. Maybe you're familiar, maybe you're not. The author of The Great Gatsby is F. Scott Fitzgerald. So if you win, I'm gonna do something with you on the cover of The Great Gatsby. That's what your winning picture is gonna be.
All right, based on the other mile and a halfs that we've done, I'm going to go ahead and say Brandon Robertson for us this week.
Oh, yeah, you flip the script there a little bit. You listen
Yeah.
to your boy.
Yep. Because I see that Radburn didn't do that well let's see, in the mile and a halfs that we had earlier in the season, which could have been of no fault of his own, but just to be on the cautious side here, which we had a lot of stacked drivers in the beginning of the season. I'm not gonna lie, we had a lot of tough, a lot of
Yep,
lot
yep.
of good people up there. But looks like Brandon has been more consistent. So that's what's going to lead me to say Brandon Robertson. Brandon beat me at Iowa earlier in the season, took away my damn win where I had to start doing race control. But I finished P2 to him, but I think Brandon will get it done tomorrow.
All right, that is it for Xfinity. I'll let you hit lead off on the Cup Series.
Oh man, this is a tough one because I know he's due for one, but I don't think he's going to get it done this week.
And I was thinking the same thing myself, and I also agree.
I'm going to go with Brandon Holder because he's due for one. And I
Brandon
know he's
Holder.
got one in the chamber
Yep,
ready to go.
yep. Well, that's who I took last week because I felt the same, and I think he ended up in some trouble early on, and kind of screwed me over. So thanks, Brandon. Thank you, buddy. Um, it's been a while since I got one of these right. So,
Ever since I came on.
man. Oh my God, I don't want to hear it.
I
Man, I kind of want to go a little deeper in the bag. I got initially,
would go with Mikey if I were you. Saying that would have been
I,
that's my other choice is Mikey.
yeah, he's super hot.
Mikey, Cedric are both good picks,
Yep. But
but I think Brandon's going to get it done, so you're going to lose either way.
well, here's the thing. I'm gonna roll with Doug Newbigging.
All right, Dougie going to
He,
come in with one.
yep, he's another guy that's sitting on no wins, been fast everywhere, like Huffy has, like Matt has, like Dave has, like Cogswell has. I mean, there are a lot of guys in
Let's
the series
let's
that it just seems like they're due.
let's cover this real quick. Jason Bridges is in the final 12. That dude
You damn right.
is showing out. I mean, he's doing good in the Cup cars considering it's his first Cup season. He's doing really damn
Yeah.
well.
Yep, super, super happy for the guy. I mean, he's another guy like Twitty earlier. I enjoy talking to him. We like to cut up and all that. Just all around good dude. And I think as he gets more seat time in the next gen car, I think based on some of the other things I've seen him stream, where he's in the Mercedes GT3 and stuff. I think that is applicable to this next gen car on road courses. So I think as he gets more seat time, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with
I
to a
agree.
certain extent.
I think a lot of these guys get more seat time in their respective series or other series they want to branch out to.
Yep,
I think it's going to be it'll be a good showing. So, one thing before we sign off tonight, I want to go ahead and let everybody know we are going to go ahead and get back into racing. As soon as this season is over, we've got 5 weeks left, 4 after this week. So we're going to get right back into it. We're going to roll this sucker right over. We're going to go right back into season 6 overall of Bluegrass iRacing, and we're not taking like maybe a week. We might end up having to take a week off to get everything situated, but I'm planning on rolling everything. I'm going to start recruiting. I want to go ahead and start signups this coming week. I'll get that situated and let everybody know how we're going to do that. It's going to be it's going to be the same as always. If you want to keep your number, go ahead and send your 25 and put for charter season 6.
I'm
And
running 2 series, baby.
we'll
I'm,
we'll get it
I'm running
going,
two.
and we'll get everybody signed up again because I'm 100% ready to get it going, and I don't want to take any time off. I don't want to take a chance on it's getting ready to be fall time again. Everybody's gonna be in the house. We want to scoop up all them new drivers, man.
It's time. We'll
So
we'll have some holidays to contend with, but a lot of times at this time of year, that means you're sitting around the house.
Most
So
most from what I've learned, most people are at home around that
yep,
time anyway. So I mean,
yep.
we'll
I,
take those weeks off. We'll take the holidays off as we normally do, but we'll probably throw up a money race like we have previously.
money, money races.
Especially around Thanksgiving, we'll have a turkey day race or something. I think I called it the I don't even know what the hell I called it, turkey something.
Around here in Bowling Green at Beach Bend, that's the Turkey Day Bash is what they do.
Maybe we'll do a short track this year instead of a super speedway. I don't know. We'll
I,
see what kind of driver count we get. We'll go ahead and start getting promotions out and start trying to sign people up now and get that ball rolling as quickly as we can.
yep.
Gonna let you send us off, man.
All right, well, guys, this was episode 7. We got it right this time, episode 7. Thank you, everyone, for enduring our voices for the past couple hours. I hope this has powered you through your workday in the middle of the week, give you something to look forward to. We appreciate all you guys being a part of the league, making it what it is, something that is just one of the more important things that I think a lot of us do every week, something that everybody looks forward to. I I can't express enough gratitude for the guys that I've made friends with, and just make the league what it is. Uh, Jason, I'm so happy I found this league thanks to Dave. He ran in it previously. I mean, I've had a blast, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Um, but that's about it. If you want to hit the sponsors, we can do that, and we can blast off to outer space. I hear you can see Jupiter outside right now, is what they're telling me.
All right, guys. So I want to go ahead and thank Butt Kicker, Kinder Performance Group, Huffman Designs, Roasted Gems Coffee, Scott Fritz Designs, UDTV for our amazing broadcast week in and week out. And hopefully we'll be able to add Holly onto that list here soon.
We're working on it. In the meantime, shout out to my wife for making an appearance last week.
Big thank you to her.